we on? Okay, hello, welcome. At this hour of 6:30, I make a motion, we start the Public Service Subcommittee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. At this time, I'd like to recognize all the committee members and the councilors present. Myself, James Leahy, the chairperson. To my right, Dan Bresnahan, vice chair, and to his right, Councilor Lebron-Martinez. To my left over here, we have City Councilor at Large Michael J. Sullivan. Ryan, do we have to make a motion? Do we have the previous minutes?
No, not for this meeting.
Not for this meeting? Okay. However, I did get a message today from a constituent asking, who's going to be watching tonight on television, asking that I give a definition of exactly what the Public Service Subcommittee does. So I got it right from our rules. The Public Service Subcommittee shall have jurisdiction over matters related to transportation, the affairs of the Parks, Recreation, and the Forestry Department. Moreover, the appointments or election of any city officials. Also permits for having home occupational issues by this Honorable City Council in matters pertaining to the elderly, such as the Holyoke Geriatric Authority and the Council on Aging. Now, having said that, let's take up the first item off the agenda, which is an appointment. So if I could have a motion to take off this item off the table.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Dear councilor members, subject to your approval, I hereby reappoint the following individual to serve as a member of the Conservation Commission for the City of Holyoke, Mr. Seth Taylor. Mr. Taylor will serve a 3-year term, and his term will expire February 1st, 2019. Respectively submitted, Mayor Morse. You're here. Come on in. So at this point, what we do is, anytime we have sit at one of these chairs here. So anytime we have an appointment or a reappointment in some cases where any counselor has any questions, we just bring the person down, especially if we don't know them, and just we kind of ask you some questions. We give you give us an overview of why you want to be on this commission and that sort of thing. So having said that, give us a little overview of what you've been doing on the Conservation Commission and why you like being on it.
Well, I like being on the Conservation Commission because it's,
Is the green button on?
yeah, the green button.
Okay, perfect.
I did turn it on.
Just speak into the mic.
Sure. I joined the Conservation Commission because my work, I'm an environmental scientist. I write wetland permits for a profession. This isn't just local, this is state and federal permits. And so I have about 3 years experience so far doing that professionally every day. And I wanted to work on not just the consulting side, but on the municipal side, defending or protecting the resource areas that we write permits to allow for work, whatever that is, typically development. And so it's been fun for me so far since July, I think it was last year. And I took over another old commissioner's position, and so that's why I'm here as a reappointment, but I've only been on the commission since July.
Okay. Does anybody on the council have any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
Hey, Seth, thanks for coming down. So you came on, somebody left and you came on in July of last year.
That's correct.
Just out of curiosity, who do you work for?
I work for GZA Geoenvironmental. It's a, excuse me, it's a water resource engineering firm, inspecting dams, that type of thing. And on my side, my department, we write permits to get projects approved through local, state, and federal ordinances and such.
I worked for Environmental Compliance Services at Agawam Mass, so I'm
Yeah,
very
okay, yeah, so there you
familiar
go.
with what you're doing. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you again for coming down. That's all I got.
You have any questions? Michael, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a few.
Sure, shoot.
Thanks, Seth, and
Yeah.
I'm not out to get anybody.
I didn't expect you
I'm
were.
a member of the AMC, and I'm an avid outdoorsman myself.
What is AMC?
What does that mean, AMC?
Appalachian Mountain Club,
Oh,
Eagle Scout, the whole 9 yards, so.
Me too.
you were?
Really?
I was a Life Scout. I missed it.
The project killed you.
You did. I turned 18. They didn't want to let me do it.
It's a good service, though, for young adults.
All right,
Yeah.
enough about us.
So, I just, a couple of questions. The Holyoke canals, there's been a lot of controversy about jurisdiction. Where do you, how do you see the Conservation Commission's oversight of the canals? Where do you think the boundaries are?
Well, the Conservation Commission's charge is to ensure that projects adhere to the regulations that were set forth in the Wetlands Protection Act. So as those are defined and implemented by Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, we're obligated to ensure that projects comply with those regulations. So the canals, the jurisdiction that DEP holds over the canals is solely the purview of Mass DEP. Those are their regulations. We are then, by home rule, allowed to enforce those regulations to ensure that projects are compliant with those. And so our charge is then to do that. And so unless those regulations are changed in some way, we are obligated to enforce them as they are.
Okay. Are you aware of, and there's a lot of these out there, 310 CMR 10.58, and I won't get into all the subparagraphs.
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
the riverfront, yep.
In that regulation, it specifically exempts man-made canals and gives specific example to the Cape Cod canals and canals diverted from rivers in Lowell and Holyoke.
Right.
So how would the Holyoke conservation, and also there's been court cases where the DEP, Mass DEP, and the Reading Conservation Commission have already been ruled against and had their hand slapped for doing this.
I wasn't aware of, I'm not aware of that. But 10.58, 2G is what I think you're referring to. I think, if I have it off the top of my head, is a riverfront boundary, which is, which the canals are excluded from. It's true, there is no riverfront resource area off of the canals, but the canals are subject to bank and land underwater resource areas, and that's set by DEP. And so it's true, it's actually smart, I think, on their behalf to not have riverfront area in that particular area, in those densely populated or densely developed areas, because nothing in those resource areas is serving to better protect the other resource areas. Riverfront comes off of bank, and so there's no need, I don't think, to try to enforce regulations that would prohibit further development within those areas, and that's how it's already said. That's DEP decided that at the onset when the Riverfront Act was implemented in 1996 or 7, whenever it was. But, and that's good. That means that you can have development within that area. But the other resource areas are present there, and so you still need to protect unfortunately, the canals are regulated. I get the point of why maybe one would think they shouldn't be, because they are man-made. But under DEP's authority, the way the laws are written, they have legal precedent to protect those areas, regardless of whether they were man-made or not.
Okay, I'm not going to argue legalese with you here. What I'll pass along to you and your fellow Conservation Commission members is, this is a court finding that ruled against Mass DEP and against the local Conservation Commission on exactly what you're stating, that you do have authority over it, and the court has said you don't.
Then I suppose the city would have legal precedent to be able to bring that to a court case, but that would be in superior court, I suppose. But as it stands right now,
It was I'm not an attorney, it was Division of Administrative Law Appeals Court, Commonwealth of Mass, all right? And they were not only ruled against on that, but also the regulation goes on further to exempt mosquito ditches associated with rivers, which suggests that the DEP sought to broadly encompass man-made water diversions, even relatively minor ones. In addition, DEP and Conservation Commission's interpretation would be inconsistent with the use of the word canal. So when you go through, I'm just going to pass it along to you to think about. And the reason we've got a lot of development finally going here with Canal Walk, bridge repairs, now the Hart Wool building up here, other areas along the canal and stuff. So, you know, it's going to be a big problem for the city if things are being imposed on people where there's really no authority to do that. The second thing is the cost to the city. The Conservation Commission, in this case the Reading one, it cost the city of Reading a lot of time with their legal department. That's free to the Conservation Commission. For any developers, business people and stuff like that to come to the city, they have to come in and spend tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands, with outside attorneys to prove a point over something where people have no jurisdiction. So to me, this is a big concern. I think you've got the level-headed approach to it, and we'll take a look at it. That's the only question I had for you. I'm done.
Thank you. So having said that, if there's any other questions, I make a motion to reconfirm you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. So our following city council meeting, this will be brought up, and I doubt that anyone's going to have any objection. So that night, or I'm sorry, the following day, you can go down to the city clerk and sign the book and continue being a conservation commissioner.
Okay, good.
We appreciate your volunteerism. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seth.
Thank you.
All right, so at this time, I would like to make a motion to take up our second item off the table. It's something similar. Get a motion?
Motion to take item number 2 off the table.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, subject to your approval, I hereby reappoint the following individual to serve as a member of the Conservation Commission, Ms. Anna Ryan Duffy. Ms. Duffy will serve a 3-year term. It'll expire February 1st, 2019. Ms. Duffy, come on in. Welcome. Anya?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
for the
what's
record.
happening?
Not much.
All right.
All right, so you pretty much heard exactly.
Yeah.
So if you could just do the same.
The reason why I volunteer for the Conservation Commission is because it's exciting work. I get to learn about projects happening in the city, and I do have some background in writing permits myself. I'm a landscape architect, so professionally I stand before the Springfield Conservation Commission a lot. In my experience with the Holyoke Conservation Commission, I've been on it for 3 years. I feel that we're a commission that really likes to work with the applicant and allows projects to go through. I've never seen us really make it too difficult or ask too much of an applicant, but it is a process, and it's really there to protect the resources and the land and the water in our city, which we're blessed with to have nice resources like that. So, and as far as the canals, haven't really looked at too many projects that had to do with the canals. I think there was one where they were doing some utility work on Race Street, and it was maybe even the DPW that came in, and it was just a formality to let us know what was happening. I don't even know if they had an RDA, and we said, as long as you put up your silt fence and you keep the sediment out of the river, that's fine. So, where I'm at. That's it.
Do we have any questions?
Just go. So you're a landscape architect with, fantastic. I mean, do you work for a company? You do it on your own?
Yeah, I actually work for the same company as Seth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you obviously both of you live in Holyoke.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Haven't met either of you, so I do apologize for that. I was actually on this committee for quite some time now, but I didn't meet either of you. I'm just going to say before, in case Councilor Mike Sullivan has any questions, I think the gist of what Councilor Sullivan is kind of leaning to may be that the canals could be a very valuable resource. And listen,
agree,
I graduated college with an environmental degree, so I'm a tree hugger just like the rest of us here. I think that Mike's got some land down there, and no one. I'm not suggesting that anything gets altered. You got to follow the rule of the law. I just think that the city was built upon this canal system, this beautiful canal system that was powering mills and workers and all that for years and years and years. So I think just meeting you for the first time, you both seem, very intelligent, very common sense type of people, and I'm kind of a good people person. So I just think the gist might be, and I know Mike Shirley can chime in, is that we just, as much as we want to conserve, and I'm with you on this, we also have to be mindful of the taxes. I mean, of people producing, economics. That's certainly, as much as the conservation is involved, there's a piece of the puzzle that allows folks to, lower their tax rates, to have businesses come in. We've got one of, if not the highest business tax rate in the state of Massachusetts. We have canal systems that can run power plants. So I'm for both of you. I think Alicia Zoller, I was a Board of Health Director for 10 years. I worked with Alicia for years when she was a Conservation Commission Director. And Andrew, he's helped me out on some projects as well. And when I was just about leaving, he kind of came on. I think what you guys do, you volunteer, you're doing a great job. I just think that, we just all need to kind of have the common sense where, not bending the rules, but working with them, and you just said that's what you do.
Yeah,
So I just want to say
I
thank
agree
you.
with you. We do have some very nice natural resources, but the cultural and the historical resources in Holyoke are, so unique. And I think that we should celebrate the canals and develop them, or redevelop them, breathe more life into them. So I'm totally with you on that.
Thank you. I'm all set.
Yeah, just a couple. What can you tell me about the alleged clam or mussel that lives in the canals?
I'm not a biologist by any means. If that, in fact, is the state-listed species, I wouldn't eat it. I mean, I've seen the canals when they're drawn down. If it is endangered, that's really not my purview, but.
Well, I don't know exactly myself either, and I don't know if they taste good with garlic and butter either.
I know it smells like low tide when they do dry
Yeah,
down,
it does,
though.
doesn't it?
It's like you're at this, there's stuff living in there, so.
Well, somewhere back several years ago, the Conservation Commission stopped allowing the Holyoke Gas and Electric to drain the canals all the way to protect these clams. And the question I had that bothers me the most about number one, it dramatically increases the cost of maintaining the canals, and it triggers a whole bunch of different things as far as preventive maintenance and how you go about working in the canals. And I just can't understand how such an endangered species survived for 150 years of the canals being drained bone dry, and until the Holyoke Conservation Commission came along and saved them.
Could have been a reintroduction, I don't know. Maybe there are volunteer species that somehow migrate and find even a man-made wetland or a man-made, like a canal, but I don't have any expertise in it.
Well, that sounds to me like an invasive species, not a native species. But it's these kind of things I'd like to see people on the Conservation Commission that can think a little outside the box, and that's one of the ongoing issues, not only with the gas and electric, but with anybody else working along the canals. It was an issue for Open Square this summer as they try to do maintenance on their pen stocks that feed their generators in the building also. They can't drain them all the way down. They have to build little coffer dams. It's all extra labor and stuff like that for something that may not really be a problem.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you know about intermittent streams?
I always get it confused with perennial streams.
And I do
They're-
too. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
So intermittent, I think, is a stream that only, in the springtime.
I-
Yeah, in the spring after melts and, groundwater.
I think
So it's
that's,
not a
I
stream
think that's perennial. Is it?
Yeah. So, yeah, in the spring or wet seasons.
All right. So if the only thing feeding an alleged intermittent stream was runoff from the street,
Or groundwater, yeah. Sorry.
well, let me go further. A developer spends $100,000 with tie and bond. They say that the soil will not support an intermittent stream, and the only water aside from rainwater falling on the immediate area is runoff from the street. Would you consider that an intermittent stream?
So if the only source for the stream is runoff, you're asking, would it
Correct.
still habitat?
And an outside consultant, very well respected, very well known consultant,
Is this-
said that it would not support even an intermittent stream.
The soils wouldn't?
Right.
There's also vegetation and other habitat characteristics that whoever made the, is this a project that happened in Holyoke where,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Is it the, I don't know, what project was it?
It's an area of the canal that was filled in by Holyoke Water Power. One section of it was given to Hamden Paper for a parking lot, and the other section has just been sitting 3/4 filled in with old silt from the, they used to clean the canals and fill them in with silt.
So I don't know, I mean, I'd have to look at all the facts and, look at the site and, there's a lot that goes into that decision-making, but from kind of what I'm picturing now, like, it would be hard to make that call if it was just, a tributary to the canal that had poor soils and water was there a few weeks out of the year. I don't know how I would classify that, but I do know that when looking at streams, I think you have to look at habitat value and, maybe they found plants there that are living, there's a lot more to it, but luckily it's just not up to me. When something comes before us, there's more input and we can make an informed decision, but, I definitely have an open mind about that. You can look with your naked eye and say, okay, well, that can't be, or then you hear all the facts, but, so I'm not sure how.
No, that's
I can't
okay.
just rule
That's
on
okay.
that, but.
Thank you. That's the only questions I had.
Okay, so having said that, I make a motion to approve this confirmation.
Second.
All the favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. So just as I said to this gentleman over here, and I too haven't met both of you, so I just want to say thank you very much on behalf of myself and also the city council, the city of Holyoke, quite frankly, for stepping up and volunteering, because my wife served on the Conservation Commission for, I think, close to 10 years.
A lot of fun.
Well, it's also a thankless job.
Yeah.
And she, and I was, there with her while she served. There's a lot of meetings, there's a lot to do. It's one of the busiest commissions that we have, and I think it goes under the radar all the time. And so having said that, I just say thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
All right, have a good night now.
Do you work for the same company too? No. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
You want to come in and answer some questions? No.
No. Thanks for coming in, folks.
All right, well, we appreciate it. You guys have a good night.
Jim, I grilled him on the phone last night, so he escaped my wrath.
Oh, there you go. All right, so I'll make a motion, we take up an item off the table from Gordon Alexander.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Order that the council move to fill the already ordained youth representative seat in the council meeting. Advertising, interviewing, and filling this seat no later than February 15th, 2016. Yeah, see, we're working on it. All in favor?
All right.
All right, so I will also refresh everyone's memory here and read to you, if you guys want copies, it's here. Sorry. This is rule number 65 of the city council rules. City council shall appoint a youth ambassador to the city council. Term shall be at least 1 year, starting July 1st to June 30th, our fiscal year. Appointees shall only be eligible to serve one term. Individuals eligible for this position must be a Holyoke resident enrolled in a local high school or equivalent program and be the age range of 15 to 17 years of age. The youth ambassador shall be required to attend all full city council meetings and may attend any subcommittees, as well as be allowed to speak during the public comment period, attend all regular meetings of the city council, subcommittees, give a youth ambassador report at the beginning of the first meeting of every month, request the city council file an order to give a proclamation to a young person or someone who works with the city, sit in council chambers and assist the administrative assistant. I'm sure Ryan would like that. Attend youth-related events on behalf of the city council, meet with the youth in other municipalities, sit at the committee table during the regular meetings. The selection process. Opening a youth ambassador position shall be posted for 2 to 3 weeks. The youth will apply through their guidance counselor, who will screen the applicants and forward the qualified resumes to the council. All qualified candidates will be interviewed by the Public Service Committee, that's us, provide 2 letters of recommendation. The first candidate to reach 8 votes by the full city council shall get the position. Talking to some people today, I think it'd be appropriate that we approve this, confirm it, and send it over to Dr. Zreich.
Sure. Second?
Sec.
That's a motion, I'm on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the cleanest way to handle it.
Yep. I agree.
You guys agree?
Sure. Yep.
Any questions or anything?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. You got that, Ryan? Yeah. So you can send that over to Dr. Zreich and the school committee people?
This also allows the, anyone who's an alternative education as well. How is that, how would
Say
that
that
work?
again?
Someone who's also an alternative education, like New England Farm Workers, the Boys and Girls Club, that they provide alternative education, it says.
It doesn't say just Holyoke High School, does it?
Or equivalent, it says in
Or
local
equivalent
high school. It doesn't even
Or
say.
equivalent
Yeah.
program.
Right, a Holyoke resident, but I mean, he could go to South Hadley High School,
That's true.
as long as he lives in Holyoke.
Well, I know back in my days of selling software, there's also a small little school at Holyoke Community College. I mean, that could be a person there too. So it could be any person,
So,
as long as they fit the age
Okay.
range and.
And they live in Holyoke, basically, is what it looks like. There's the only obligations. You live in Holyoke and you're in high school or an equivalent program.
Which is interesting because I talked to Dr. Zreich the other night regarding the amount of out-of-school placement that we have to pay for, regular kids going to, Belchertown and Northampton, and it's $2 million. However, he was telling me that there's a lot of kids that actually school choice into Holyoke, which is interesting because of this rule. They can be Holyoke students and not be eligible for this. But we'll get his feedback in the school committee, so if we could send that over.
Jim, would I have to wait till after it goes to full? Probably I'd give them a heads up, but until we voted on, maybe,
Yeah, I guess.
all right, so that's what I'll do, but I'll send them a heads up.
Yeah.
Everything on there.
All right, perfect.
Coming around the back.
All right, so this is ordered, make a motion to take up item by former counselor Alexander.
So moved?
Ordered whereas the city website, or should be, an essential tool for communication to both current and potential city residents, visitors and business owners. Order that the council investigate whether PEG funds can be used to improve the city website, and if so, those said funds should be allocated to planning and execution of badly needed site improvements. Make a motion to take it off the table and act on it. So I was talking to Ryan earlier today, and I think we were thinking there's a PEG subcommittee. There might not be an active cable advisory committee, but there is a PEG committee, which would handle this. So I make a motion that we send it to the PEG committee and have them act on it and get it back to us within 30 business days.
Second?
And also maybe, because we're not even sure who's on this PEG advisory board, So Ryan, if you could also find that out tomorrow and email the 5 of us on this board.
Sure, I know Kevin's on it.
Yeah, and I think there's like 5 or 6 people, but if you can do that, we'd appreciate it. All right, so we made a motion to do that, right?
Yes, we
All in
did.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next item off the table, it's a order, if I could make a motion to take this off the table.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Those, okay. Introduced by former Counselor Alexander, that the council work with the Holyoke Gas and Electric to provide free Wi-Fi service throughout the public spaces in downtown core, and to provide standardized signage indicating that the service is available for free, courtesy of the Holyoke City and Gas and Electric. Yeah, I filed an order similar to this many years ago, and it went nowhere, but let's try it again. So maybe make a motion to send to the Gas and Electric and their commission,
Second?
and to see, and try to get some feedback. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I almost forgot, and Counselor Valentine called me, or texted me, and she's homesick. So I would just wanted to say that's the reason she's not here tonight, and also just wish her, fast healing. All right, so the next order, make a motion to take item introduced by Counselor Bresnan off the table.
Second.
Whereas the DOR has already recommended twice that the city of Holyoke become compliant with MGL Chapter 41, Section 24, as well as the city of Holyoke Ordinance 8236, order that the city council interview the only applicant that has applied for the position of the third assessor that was advertised from 9/21/15 to 10/23/15 in order to be in compliance with the above-mentioned law. Off the table? Aye?
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, so just turn it over to the maker of the order.
Yeah, I mean, well, the long and short of it is that this position for the third assessor was posted for months. They had one applicant, graduate of Holyoke High School. She lives in Ward 8 at this point, but she is an assessor. She has all the qualifications, all the, degrees and background that she needs to have. She's an assistant to the assessor in South Hadley, and has been for the past 3 years. So I would just recommend that we call her into the next public service meeting, interview her, and finalize this. We had 2 DOR reports that both said they got to have a third member. I mean, so it's just something that we're obligated to do by statute. So I would respectfully request that we table this for now,
Table it?
or we need to. I mean, what do you? I mean, I'll make a motion that we appoint her. I mean.
Would we have to bring her in and interview her?
Well, I mean, the appointment is obviously it's the city council that appoints that position.
Okay, right.
So I mean, I don't know if, could we go to the full city council meeting and say, she didn't know that we were having this, we're all set, I mean.
Well, what would you like to do?
Well, I mean, I
Feel
think,
comfortable?
I think through due diligence, if we have, the next meeting we have, we put her on the agenda, we call her in, Ryan reaches out to her, has her call in, we just.
Okay, that's the right way. All right, so you got that, Ryan?
Yeah.
Make a motion, we table it.
So,
Second. All right, make a motion, take up an item that was authored by myself and Counselor Soto. Isn't that interesting? Order that the Mayor Morris and the tax collector, David Gussman, come into the city council chambers to discuss the head clerk position that is vacant. I just make a motion to,
leave to it.
yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, did you guys get the, all right, follow me first. Let me make a motion to take off the table an order that was introduced by Counselor McGee. Second?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, order that the legal department and the Park and Rec department look into establishing a community garden at Morgan Park. Did you guys get the email today by Attorney Kuna?
Yeah, I started to kind of glance at it.
That was a lengthy one. Counselor McGee is not here. I haven't talked to him. I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to read this. It came late in the day. At least I saw it late in the day. There's questions regarding who's going to pay for the water, who's going to pay for the different plots. It's protected in some regards, not protected in other regards. So I make a motion we table until Counselor McGee comes
I
in.
second that.
To see what he wants to do. I think it's only fair. It's kind of like the motto that Councilor President has. So I make a motion to table it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, and that's it. Is that it, Ryan? That's it. We don't have any more work to do? It's the fastest working subcommittee, I think. All right, make a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
if you just wanna put that in,
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
if you just wanna put that in your jacket, let's call Maureen in the next meeting when we have it.
Ryan, what else do we have in the jacket?
Put this in the jacket.
I think that's all we have.
Well, that's fine, I mean.
Is that the only thing
You see how I left the jacket? Clean like
know.
that, huh? It's like I bleached it.
I love it.
Now, nobody's working that downstairs, right?
I was talking for my first meeting up here.
Oh, no, I just wondered now some.
I have the full camera.
No, it only will show, like, even if I take it back as far as it goes, it'll still be. It really was U5, U3. From now on, I'll see if I can make it. Yeah, it's a, I think it's as wide as. I'll go back so far. I'll take it this way. I'll use that fridge for everything's fine on it. Everything, it's just a fastener issue. It's just because it was. Probably the same, probably right now. Have the DPW done.
Old lady's that picks, I'm gonna pop in there for a couple.
What's that?
Old lady's that picks, huh?
All right, then I'll see you over there.